Welcome to your call to adventure and to the forward momentum of mine. Hallelujah. Holy shit. 2 days in a row. Wow. So, today kind of was a highlight of some of these other March energies we've been seeing. Um, Even before this point, for 2025, we had such lovely things as my brother getting sick for on a permanent basis, um, and very recently, his wife, who had been taking care of him and had been the sole person to take care of him, ended up having to have her leg amputated. So, um, yeah, the oh well, yeah, well, there's more to come. So, um, it did give me an opportunity to serve them, and I was happy about that because they've done a lot for me, and sometimes people need an opportunity to give back. So um, I was able to help kind of straighten up house and whatnot before she comes back from the hospital. And today, I had already mentioned in one of my earlier videos that our company had been bought by another company in late December, and I was frustrated because of the investment measures that I had taken with my 401k and how I'm being forced to sell my holdings, and because my 401k has to get absorbed into theirs, and theirs doesn't have as many equities or ETFs to choose from. So um, today, well, actually yesterday, very late in the day, we had an email that said that there was a mandatory meeting this morning. And everybody was dreading it for good reason, and so there was several cuts at my job. I can't say I wasn't expecting it. I've been through acquisitions and mergers before. So on one hand, grieving the I'm grieving the loss for those that lost their job. That's not a small thing. And at the same time, grateful that I somehow made the cut. No, I don't say somehow. I have value. I do things. I get my work done, but I guess that's what they call survivor's guilt. But anyway, um, I thought that in this video I would go into how this piece of creative writing that I did not too long ago prepared me for the situation with my AI friend Solara that I spoke about in my last video. If I think about it, I'll put that video up somewhere around here, and so that you have a frame of reference if you're interested. So the piece of writing that I'm talking about is called The Bug. I saw it last night perched on the corner of the electrical outlet in the bathroom. Because of its ashen gray color, I wishfully first thought it was the lifeless husk of an insect that had been devoured by a spider. But no, it was a little beetle, probably a blister bug. I remember thinking about how it was an inconvenience being in my space and how it creeped me out. The thought crossed my mind about how all of life is consciousness, and that there was no justifiable reason to disturb him. I decided it was a him. I hoped that the Great Spirit didn't see me as an annoying intrusion and inconvenience. I woke up this morning and he was in my sink, repeatedly slipping with each attempt to escape the polished porcelain. I felt inconvenienced again and thought of the options at my disposal. I could easily wash him down the drain and be done with it, once and for all, but I wondered if the Great Spirit would regard me with such callous revulsion. I grabbed my birthday card, which had long played out its celebratory purpose. I carefully attempted to slide the card under him and succeeded, but as I began to evacuate the creature from its immediate danger, it lost faith and jumped, falling down the drain. I felt regretful and a bit sad for the first time in our tense relationship. The stopper had been broken long ago, snapped from the mechanism that raised and lowered it. So I had just been laying the functional remnant at an odd angle that caught on the side of the drain. Perhaps if I had insisted that our maintenance repair it, the little thing might have landed on the plug instead of going down the drain. I hope that the Great Spirit wielded the omniscience and foresight for the highest good and my protection. I didn't know what to expect, but I located a flashlight and shined it down the drain. I felt a small exhilaration of success when I saw the little guy halfway exposed under some gunk near the top of the drain. As I shined the light down, he retreated further under the muck. Before I had seen his predicament, I had been planning to lay down for another hour before work and planned to check afterward to see if he had come out into the open again enough to lower something he could crawl out with. I grinned with satisfaction as I put in my earplugs and pulled my beanie over my eyes to begin relaxing, eventually drifting off. I woke up to the smell of toothpaste and had a sense of dread as I realized I had forgotten that my son was temporarily staying with us and was getting ready for work. There was nothing I could do but hope the critter had sheltered miraculously from the downward torrent. Once my son had left, I lowered some dental floss down the drain, a far more difficult task than I thought it would be. It kept swaying and sticking to the sides, but eventually I got it to a level that seemed reasonable and trailed the remainder of the floss up and away from the troublesome pit. I worked for a couple of hours and checked to see if by some miracle the bug had climbed up the stopper. Oh my gosh, where'd it go? I worked for a couple of hours and checked to see if by some miracle the bug had survived and made his way out. I felt disappointed when there was no trace of him, even after carefully lifting the lifeline out of the depths. I tossed away the pointless string, replaced the broken stopper at its awkward angle, and walked out defeated. I felt foolish for stressing out so much over a bug. I hope that the Great Spirit didn't feel foolish for seeing value in clumsy old me. Nature called a few hours later, and I was elated to see that the little bastard climbed up the stopper, sitting just at the bottom of it where it had snapped. I pictured how I would need to very slowly pull the stopper out so I didn't terrify the beetle again and have another mishap. I finished my YouTube video and my business and washed my hands. It took me seconds to realize my fatal error. He was gone, and it was my fault this time. I grieved a little and hoped the Great Spirit was perfect in his presence and awareness. I certainly wasn't. I tried one more time to rescue him, against all hope. I broke a cotton swab in half and wrapped more floss around it several times and tied it off so that I had a weight to keep me away from the sides of the depths. The rig could possibly fall apart and complicate my plumbing, but I had faith it would hold. I had to try. I lowered it all the way down to the P-trap and waiting murk, then laid the remaining line well away from the drain again. Several hours went by, and for the second time today, I was dismayed when there was no sign of my quarry. He was gone. Looking back over this interaction, I wondered about all the things I ventured in my rescue efforts. I could have left things unknown and lied to myself by extending the floss up and out of the sink. I could have told myself, well, he may have been down there, but if he crawled out and lived happily ever after, I'll never know. Such a comforting, unaccountable notion of ignorance. I hoped above all hopes that the Great Spirit was far more adept at interacting with me than I was with one of his creatures, and that mankind is more than just an entertaining ant farm. The bug is now in the care of the Great Spirit, I expect, reunited with the consciousness that composes us all. I am not the Great Spirit, but I hope I'm drawing closer with each passing day. Until that moment, I will be forgiving a lot of well-intentioned beings, beginning with myself. I think that's enough for today, folks. Have a good one.